welcome one and welcome all to yet another episode of Quiet Storm Sports right here on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, where we cover all things Baltimore Ravens football and more here on this channel. It's not just the Ravens channel. We cover a lot of things, a plethora, if you will, of sports here at PRP, whether it's going to be primarily Baltimore Ravens. Yes. Also, we've been covering World Cup. We cover MMA. Going to talk a little WNBA today, so stick around for that. But listen, former Ravens wide receiver had a hell of a lot to say about the Baltimore Ravens pass catching room. And we're going to break down all of those things that he said, because he actually reveals some things that we may not have necessarily known for sure up to this point in the offseason. If that sounds good to you, make sure you leave a like. Also, comment down below if you're part of the replay gang. Again, shout out to y'all. Y'all know we do these live. But welcome back into Quiet Storm Sports. Without any further ado, let's get started. Yes, sir. We are back with yet another episode of Quiet Storm Sports right here on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. I am your host, Sutton Def, and today we've got a lot of things to get into. Of course, we are live right now, so shout out to everybody who's in the live chat. Again, replay gang, which means you're watching the replay of this stream. Salute to you. We love you guys just as much. Be sure to like this video. Also, hype this video. Helps us out with the good old algorithm as we chug along this off season. And we are a little bit over a week until we get the finally some Ravens news, some real, actual, tangible Ravens in the castle news. It's going to be next Friday when the Ravens rookies and quarterbacks and injured veterans report to training camp. So make sure you stick around because we've got way more content where this is coming from. Again, like I said before, big shout out to everybody who's in the live chat. I see Zeke. I see the man. I see ISO. Ashley in the chat as well. What's going on, Ashley? A member here. Stretch 52 in the chat. Cameron in the chat. What's going on? What's going on? Appreciate all of you guys for coming through. Lonely Kid says, Noti gang. I know that's right. I forgot to mention that. If you have not turned on the notifications for this channel, please be sure to do that so you do not miss whenever we go live. This is actually a kind of like an impromptu late night live stream. I normally go live a little bit earlier than this, maybe a couple hours earlier, but I had some things to do and wanted to gather some more material, which I did. And I'm going to bring that forth towards you guys today. So again, shout out to y'all for coming through and rocking out with me here on PRP. Let's start off with this. So like I said, to kick off the show, former Ravens wide receiver, surprise, surprise, it is Steve Smith Sr., who has his own show. Okay. He had a lot to say about pretty much everybody in this Ravens wide receiver room. And I want to kick it off by him talking about what he thinks needs to happen to unlock Ravens wide receiver one, Zay Flowers. Let's take a listen.
What can Declan Doyle do to unlock maybe another level of Zay Flowers? Because I think we're seeing this growth every year, adding different parts to his game. What would you like to see maybe Declan Doyle maybe unlock for him? Is it motion shifts, him using some of that stuff that Sean Payton uses? Or do you want him to just see another aspect of his game grow?
Well, of course, you want to see a lot of more movement. When you're number one wide receiver, you're going to get the most attention. So movement is paramount and extremely important. You got to move me around. You got to put me in different positions so I can be successful. So teams can't lock in and always know where you're going to line up every single play. Because if you have that, that makes it extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. But the real answer to what can unlock Zay Flowers, it has to be everybody else around him. It has to be other wide receivers. Rashad Bateman, I've said it over and over again.
Here we go, chat.
I've been maybe a little bit too critical of him.
Be careful,
but
Steve.
Watching him come out of Minnesota, I expected automatically to carry over because of his speed. Mm-hmm. And it really hasn't carried over into being extremely productive as your true X wide receiver who is stationary stand, who can win off the release, who can go across the middle. He hasn't gone across the middle as consistently as you would like. He's growing into that role, but as he's growing into that role, it is also affecting a guy like Zay Flowers and company because of not having that now mentality, not
Okay.
having that
I
impact
can
where
respect that.
defense is going, oh my gosh, our XY receiver, we must fear him.
I respect
They don't
it.
have that. And because of that, they started to go and say, hey, we're going to draft Dez Walker, right?
All right, so he gets into Tez Walker here in a little bit. But listen, here's my thing. He's right. When he talks about Zay Flowers and what the Ravens need to do to unlock Zay Flowers' next level, he's absolutely right when he says that other guys around Zay Flowers need to step up and compliment him in order for him to see more open looks. And so teams can't really crack down on him as the wide receiver one. Here's the deal. The Ravens, I think, in my personal opinion, have done a fabulous job this offseason alone in retooling this pass catcher room with everything that it needs. Emphasis on the word needs, chat. Okay, emphasis on the word needs. When I say needs, I mean players who can perfectly complement what we already had or what we had left after losing Likely, Kohler, so on and so forth, D-Hop, all that, right? You've got Zay Flowers, your Z receiver. You're going to put him out in motion a lot. He's going to be all over the field. You're going to manufacture ways for him to get open, that sort of thing. He's kind of like your scat pack guy, right? Zay Flowers is. To complement him, you now have a Rashad Bateman, wide receiver 2, who's a route running technician, probably still the best route runner on the team. It's either him or Zay. I can see if you want to give it to Zay, I might give it to Bateman. It's kind of day to day. Because both of those guys, if you go and look at the metrics, they know how to separate. They do. But you have a Rashad Bateman, again, route running technician who can work the intermediate area of the field. He can go over the middle. He can go deep. I mean, hell, we saw him in his very first year with the Ravens, Rashad Bateman, that is, take a slant against the Dolphins, 10-yard slant, and took it to the house. Ran by everybody. So he's got speed. I get decent size. I get route running. And again, that's on top of your scat pack Z receiver and Zay Flowers, who's going to be darting all over the place and things like that, playing the backyard football with Lamar. So we got two archetypes of receivers. Let's take it a step further. And Steve Smith will actually break down some of this too. But if you take it a step further, they've now got two big body targets. Elijah Surratt, Jacoby Lane, big body targets, and also young and also cheap. So when I talk about what the Ravens need, yes, the Ravens definitely would have, me personally, would have wanted an A.J. Brown, 6'4", dominant wide receiver 1, proven wide receiver 1, but he's going to be expensive. Okay, so that was a want. Okay. Having Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt and getting that young talent for cheap for a couple of years, that is what the Ravens needed. And again, it's talent that perfectly complements what you already have in Zay, Bateman, and Zay and Bateman. It complements what you have with them. So you basically have every archetype of receiver on this roster right now. One of those guys, I mean, hopefully it's all of them, but realistically, it's not going to be all three of those guys. Bateman, Lane, Surratt, they're not all going to break out this year. But hopefully one of those guys can prove to be a viable wide receiver 2. You guys know I think it's going to be Bateman. Okay, you guys know I think it's going to be Bateman. But hopefully one of those guys, if not Bateman, maybe either Lane or Surratt, can become a solid wide receiver 2 and complement Zay, because that's going to open up Zay Flowers more. And that's just going to open up the entire offense more. Okay, and this offense will bloom like an onion. It will. It will. Thought he was 6'1", 220. Yeah, that's pretty much Rashad Bateman's build right there. So you got a 5'9" receiver in Zay Flowers, super speedy. You got a 6'1" receiver, route running technician, right? Good hands on his good days, right? Everybody has their bad days in Bateman. And then you got a 6'3" receiver in Elijah Surratt, a 6'4" receiver in Jacoby Lane. Okay, so with all those things, the Ravens should, and keyword should, be able to put those things together and make a highly cohesive offensive unit, at least when it comes to pass catching. And we'll see. But let's move on here and see what else Steve Smith had to say. What I want to talk to you guys about next, or what Steve Smith had to say, rather, is kind of what he heard, what he's hearing. And this may be where the truth gets revealed. What he's hearing about the Ravens kind of posturing when it comes to the wide receiver room in Baltimore. Let's take a listen.
Here's what I was told. I was told if Des Walker rises to the top with us drafting some other players, that means it's just more thoroughbred. This is my words now. More thoroughbreds in the barn.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Yeah.
You never get in trouble with having too many ballers, right? And then they go out and say they're not done with a fourth round pick. I mean, a third round pick with the 80th overall. Let's get us a fourth round pick as well with the 115th pick overall. And they go ahead and get a guy from the national champs, Indiana
Eli
Hoosiers.
Yeah, Elijah Surratt. Whew.
Excited for that kid.
He's not playing. He's highly productive. He knows exactly how to play football. And
obviously,
guess who he is behind? Rashad Bateman.
This is where it hurts my heart, chat. Hurts my heart.
They're saying we're going to get a guy who will eventually either take over and get that intermediate route running, or if the guy we have there isn't, we're going to get a cheaper version who will do it consistently. And that's when they got Elijah.
All right, so you heard there Steve Smith saying that he's been hearing from the Ravens that they wanted to go ahead and draft some younger guys, get some younger guys in the building, add wide receiver, because eventually, if one, God forbid two, of those guys takes off between Lane and Surratt, the writing may very well be on the wall for Rashad Bateman. And you guys know how that makes me feel. Hurts me deep down inside. Feel me? I feel that. But he's got a point. He's got a great point. The fact of the matter is this. The Ravens aren't the type of team who, even if they do plan on, running a whole lot of 11 personnel with 3 wide receiver sets and things like that, they're still going to be primarily focused on running the ball, leaning on teams, staying as efficient as possible in the passing game, and playing some damn good defense. See, I don't think the identity, even with the new coaching staff, I think that's why they got a Jesse Minter. They want to get back to that. Hey, we want to run the football. I mean, this is what Steve Bisciotti and EDC said to Jesse Minter in the interview. And I don't know if they said this for sure, but I would imagine that they said something like this. Listen, Jesse, we just need you to come in here. We don't need you to turn the entire franchise on its head. You can do things your way, yes, but we need you to get us back to the identity that we are known for, which again is playing some damn good defense and running the ball. What does that mean, Sutton? So what that means is there's not going to be a whole lot of room for wide receivers to break out in this offense. And so if the Ravens went ahead and were intentional about drafting a third-round receiver in Jacoby Lane, drafting a fourth-round receiver in Elijah Surratt, then this really feels like Rashad Bateman's last chance. Feels like it's his last chance. Void with the super chat donation. Thank you so much, Void, for making it rain here on Quiet Storm Sports. Void says writing was already there. It's just in bold now. I think Steve Smith just put it in bold. I think he just highlighted it with a yellow Sharpie, whatever. But he's telling the truth because he's right. Elijah Surratt is right behind Rashad Bateman. Elijah Surratt is already turning heads in minicamp and OTAs. And training camp starts next week. So I think by far, the Ravens wide receiver room, or just that position group, right? It's got to be the most competitive position group right now on the Ravens. It's more competitive than any other group. I think it's more competitive than offensive line. I think it's more competitive than linebacker. I think it's more competitive than any other position group. And Rashad Bateman, he's got his work cut out for him. As much bail as I shoot Rashad, he's got his work cut out for him. He's got to separate himself. It's time to separate yourself from the men to the boys, Rashad. That should be his MO. That should be his mentality this season. Yeah, I know they bought in Young Lane and Surratt. And yeah, when I go in the locker room, these guys are taller than me, and Lamar Jackson seems to really hit it off with them. And, I've been here for maybe 5-6 years now. And maybe they're trying to phase me out a little bit. That's what it feels like. Well, not on my watch. Not on my watch. In my Ayanla voice. Not on my watch. Okay. I see Chris M in the chat says, get that apology ready, Alex's co-host. Alex's co-host is nuts. I'll tell you that much. I'm going to drink a little bit of wine to that. How about that? Anywho. There won't be a whole lot of apologies coming from me. Because again, I am still a firm believer in Rashad Bateman getting his ish together and going out there and having another at least minimum 700-yard season with 7-8 touchdowns, which is all I'm asking for him. See, a lot of you out there act like I'm thinking or expecting Rashad Bateman to go for 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. No. Would that be ideal? Yes. And if that were to happen, I'm on all y'all ass. Replay gang, y'all too. Listening, but whether you're driving to work right now, if you're at work, on your lunch break, whatever you might be doing, if you're a Rashad Bateman hater, always remember, put it down below in the comments because you do have a place in this book, in my Bait Hate book. And oh, by the way, like I always say, if you guys are in these other streams, these other content creators talking down on Bateman, just know I'm around. Just know I'm around. Okay? Just know I'm around and I'm writing down names. Anywho, like I said, it is kind of a make or break for Rashad Bateman. I think that this is his last chance, but I think he takes full advantage of that last chance and he bounces back. Okay. Let me see. All right. So the next thing that he talked about when it comes to this receiver room is the emergence or maybe lack thereof of one Tez Walker. Let's take a listen.
Does for every wide receiver. It starts to really tell, do you know what's going on?
Yep.
Are you capable? And we had 2 years to figure out what you're learning, how you learn. Are you a visual learner? Are you you apply it by physically doing it on the field? Everybody learns differently, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now you are learning a new offense with everyone else.
Tez,
so everyone on paper is even.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
But then we start to find out, well, he can't or he can do this. He can or he can't do that. Mm-hmm. So each guy is put through the mental grind of figuring out what can he and what he cannot do. And I think they're going to find out actually a lot faster because all of these guys, especially the veteran guys, they've played with the quarterback. They've played with these other wide receivers. They just haven't been coached by some of these coaches. New wide receivers coach, one of my former teammates, Kerry Colbert. And Kerry Colbert, right, knows his stuff. Excellent wide receivers coach. And I'm not just saying that because I know him. I'm saying that is because he has really studied the game.
Okay.
He's been to college. He's been in a pro. So he's been able to figure out
and this is important too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, how to teach. Recruiting and teaching do not go hand in hand.
And see, and here's where I want to stop Steve Smith, because he said something very important. Kerry Colbert, wide receivers coach for the Ravens. Steve Smith has worked with him before. Steve Smith obviously vouches for him. And he talks about how he is an intense studier of the game. He's a student of the game, which, most of these guys are, right? But when that's your emphasis, like this guy studies hard. And also, by the way, he's a great teacher. Those two characteristics line up with the Ravens offensive coordinator, Declan Doyle, and everything we've heard about him up to this point. So what I'm hearing is we've got a lot of brain power. We lost a lot of brain power, or maybe lack thereof, from last season. but we definitely gained a lot, in exchange. So that excites me for guys going into year 3 like Tez Walker, because much like it's going to be a make or break year for Rashad Bateman, it's definitely going to be one for Tez Walker. Definitely going to be, because he's, again, going into year 3. It's getting ready to be contract time for Tez. Like if Rashad Bateman were to get cut by the Ravens today, he'd be on a roster tomorrow. He would. If the Ravens wanted to trade for Rashad Bateman, he would have suitors around the league to trade for him. We can't really say the same about Tez. So Tez, who is a guy who we know gets super few opportunities, he's going to have to make the most of them, which he normally does. We normally call him Touchdown Tez, right? But we're just going to have to see this year. Bistro Chef, what's going on, my guy? Let me see. We don't talk enough about the addition of Kerry Colbert. Yeah, and that's why I love that Steve Smith brought it up here. Love to hear that, Tila. Love to hear it. Okay. All right, here we go. And I see y'all talking trash in the chat. Y'all know I got thick skin, though. Just let it roll right off my shoulders. You feel me? Let that hate roll right off my shoulders. Ain't nothing to it. Shout out to y'all, though. You know I love y'all. Again, let's continue here. Steve Smith Sr., what else you got for us? So he talked a little bit about Jacoby Lane, right? That was something that was kind of like a big topic. Let me go ahead and skip forward here to where he talks about that right about here. Jacoby Lane, how are we feeling, Steve Smith?
The ability to be a red zone target, which I think maybe to me I just that can happen right away, and that maybe makes life easier on Mark Andrews in the middle of the field in the red zone. If you have a guy that can play on the outside, do you think with somebody like Jacoby Lane, you're taking in the 3rd round, 80th overall? Is it, hey, these are the things we know you can do, let's lean on those early? Is that the way you kind of approach this sometimes with players like that, instead of giving him just everything under the sun right from the beginning?
So the first thing I had on my notes, and I'm getting to it, so I don't shortchange them. First thing I had on my notes when I saw the pickup was he's their version of Isaiah Likely. He is that other option in the middle of the field.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Body someone.
Yeah.
Because Mark Andrews, he's going to chip. He's getting a little bit older. He's going to give you the stuff underneath. But Isaiah Likely, you remember, it was pivotal against the Kansas City Chiefs in that comeback when they needed that big play. He was just maybe a few centimeters, few inches off from that being the go-ahead winning touchdown.
Just a big toe
out of bounds.
Yeah, just a big toe.
But where was that ball thrown?
Up
Upstairs. Upstairs.
And so now they get that guy.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes
see,
this offense.
Real quick, Steve, I'm gonna let you cook here, but I gotta bring up a super chat donation. And but I just want to say that is what I've been trying to tell you guys for weeks now. Jacoby Lane, I'm expecting him to be the next Isaiah Likely. Right? The guy who in the back of the end zone, when he throws his hand up and Lamar is like in trouble, he can just throw it up. He can throw it high, away from the defenders, and Jacoby Lane can just go up and grab it. Now, he's going to have to be physical enough to get in a good enough position, to get a good enough leverage for Lamar Jackson to actually want to target him. But I think that this is something, again, Kerry Colbert, wide receivers coach, especially if he puts on a little bit more weight, I think he can easily do that. Oh, by the way, not to mention, I mean, no matter who you put on Jacoby Lane, let's just look at it like this. Jacoby Lane is 6'4", all of 6'4". Fun fact, in case you didn't know, Jacoby Lane is actually taller. He's bigger than every defensive back in the AFC North. That's a fact. Okay? Jacoby Lane is taller than every single defensive back in the AFC North. Now, like we say, size is not a skill, but it's definitely an advantage. And if Lamar Jackson sees you have that advantage in the red zone, specifically the end zone, he's going to throw you the ball. We've seen it way too many times to deny that. I think that's fair to say. Way too many times. Okay? So let's see.
Of stumble.
Oh, wait, hold on. Super chat donation. Almost forgot. My bad. Let me see. Void dropping another 2-piece. Says Tez finished last year with more touchdowns than Bate. By the way, I think it was 3-2. I think it was like 3-2. Yeah, he did. But I mean, Tez Walker was the guy who literally defenses just tended to lose. They just lost him a lot of the time. They're not worried about what number does Tez Walker wear? Like 81? Nobody's worried about 81 when he steps on the field. Now, do I love that for Tez? Absolutely. Absolutely. But we'll see this year. I definitely expect more touchdowns to come from my guy, Rashad Bateman, this year. Thank you again, Void. We appreciate that. Appreciate that, brother. All right. By the way, you guys see the pin, chat, comment, whatever. Thank you for all your support here at the Purple Rain Podcast. Whether you are a Rain Gang member, you subscribed, became a member of the channel. We appreciate you guys so much here. If you've ever donated, if you've ever commented, if you've ever liked the video, hyped the video, whatever, thank you for all your support here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. And we love you. Let's continue the late night fun, like the man says.
Has been put on. Well, Lamar Jackson isn't. Well, Lamar Jackson was almost 83% under pressure every time he snapped the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So understand that they did a really good job of adapting to their deficiencies, which is keeping the pass protection intact. It was rarely intact long enough
Not
to
at
really
all.
have explosive plays. So this is a combination of retooling your young guys, but being ready just in case some of the other guys that you currently have on your roster aren't capable of making a play, and you don't make a big stink about it. You just rotate another guy in and see how he can get that opportunity to see if he can make that play, because they need plays right now.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that me personally, they have those, because here's what I'll say. I think that playmaking ability is going to be something that these coaches for the Ravens are going to keep a very, very close eye on. Jimmy Love, appreciate the sub. They're going to keep a very, very close eye on, especially early in the season, to see who kind of emerges, right, as that guy who Lamar can, like I said, rely on in the red zone, or just rely on in general, like between the 20s too. Who's a guy who on 3rd and 7, I'm looking his way first. Who's going to be that playmaker, right, outside of Zay Flowers? So Rashad Bateman, Jacoby Lane, Elijah Surratt, and Tez Walker as well. Those 4 guys are in a literal race right now for that wide receiver 3 position. Wide receiver 2 position. Now, of course, Rashad Bateman has the inside track, being the elder statesman in that room. But if Lane and Surratt perform in the preseason and in training camp, because they're going to get time under the lights in preseason. First week, preseason versus the Eagles, those guys are going to get their reps. Better believe it. And if they put some good stuff on tape, it's going to be tough on Bate. I'll just say that. Let me see here. Speaking of Rashad Bateman, a little bit more on Rashad. You guys see, he's kind of like the thumbnail on the video, so I think it's fitting we say a little bit more about what Steve Smith had to say about Rashad Bateman. Let's take a listen to Steve Smith talk about, maybe the new OC, Declan Doyle, will bring out the best in Bateman.
Yeah, exactly. I got to go back to Bateman one more time, Stephen. Just say how many, it was 2 years ago. I remember he had the year where he had
Justice not lying,
750 yards, and they're going, okay, it's putting together. And then this past year, it kind of seemed like it took a step back, but obviously offensively, a lot of different things happened. And Lamar, you mentioned the pressure and the injuries and all these different things that were going on. I did hear a little bit of maybe a different coaching staff coming in could benefit Rashad Bateman. Maybe a different set of eyes sometimes, and relationship-wise can benefit a player sometimes. Have you seen that really kind of switch where it's like a guy's been in one system with one offensive coordinator and one head coach, it changes, and it's like, oh, and now this group fits me better.
Yes. Yeah, that can be the case where it fits them better because they see They see him differently. Sometimes
Yeah.
old coaches
Yeah.
get stuck in, well, I know this guy. I know what he can do. I know what he can't do.
Mhm.
And so they don't give a guy a legitimate opportunity. But also, too, be wary. Just because a new coaching staff gives you opportunities, they may give you opportunities in areas that you're not comfortable or you're not very good
Mm.
at. So you got to be wary that sometimes you can get opportunities and exposed at the same exact time as well.
All right. So you heard Steve Smith say there, he brings up a great point. You know, he's very nuanced with his takes here, which I appreciate because you guys know I'm the same way pretty much. Like I feel like there are two sides to every coin and it is a disservice not to bring it up. So on the one hand, Steve Smith says, yeah, a lot of times when you bring in a new coaching staff, they're not already familiar with all the players there, so to say. I mean, they can look at some tape or look at some numbers, some data, things like that, which I'm sure they are. But like I've said before, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I feel like this coaching staff is going to look at Rashad Bateman like that old antique in the corner of the garage that nobody has touched in decades, right? But when the right person comes across it and sees it, it's like, so wait a minute. Why have you guys not been doing anything with this? This seems to be pretty valuable here. You're just letting it rust in the corner of the garage. No. Let me take it. I'm gonna polish it off, right? And I'm gonna make it look real nice. And yeah, I'm gonna make some money off of it, right? I'm gonna show you that it actually has value. I think that is what is going to happen with this new coaching staff. They're gonna look at Rashad Bateman and say, okay, this is a former first round pick who has had production before on this team, but you just don't use him. No. We're gonna use, and he's getting paid how much? Oh, he's a steal. Oh yeah. Bring him here. Bring him here. That's what I feel like is gonna happen. TC in the house making it rain. TC making it rain, just dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Didn't even put nothing with it. Just dropping the 5-piece in the chat. TC, we appreciate you making it rain here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Let me see. Sutton's Bateman glaze needs to be studied. It's crazy. All right. So I think that was, and then he also says, it could go the other way as well, where maybe Rashad Bateman early on isn't impressing the new coaches, and maybe they are like, okay, well, this guy obviously isn't that great. We just drafted Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt. Maybe we like them better anyway because they came in to this team with us. We're both year ones, but it's their first year in the league. It's our first year coaching, calling plays, whatever. So maybe they have an affinity to the younger guys. Who knows? I just believe that the stars are aligning for Rashad Bateman to have a big bounce back year. New offensive coordinator, new head coach, which equals new beginnings for everybody. Revamped offensive line. Are there still some questions on that O-line? Yes. But nonetheless, revamped offensive line that we think, at least right now on paper, is a lot better than what we had last year. Minus center, because like I said, there's some questions, but those guard spots feel a lot more comfortable with what we got now. A lot more comfortable. So again, I think the stars are aligning for Bateman. Void dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Thank you so much, Void, making it rain. Says, would be the case if Bateman didn't have an 8.57 percentage while being 4 on the team in targets compared to Zay with the most and a 4.27 drop rate. This is fair. Do I feel like every receiver on this team drops passes? Yes, I do. It's just Bateman's are a little bit louder because Bateman's only getting 2 targets a game. So if he drops one, that's really all you're going to remember about the game from Bateman, because he's not going to get too many other opportunities, at least not last year. Now in 2024, when you gave him about 4 targets a game, you see what he did. But when you only give him 2, and maybe he drops 1 because who's perfect? Not Bateman, not Zay, not Andrews, not Tez, not anybody, nobody. We only give him 2 though. Only but so much you can do with that. Yeah, I was just watching some clips painful clips from like November games last year. Like November and like the first half of December was a very painful time to be a Ravens fan and to watch this Ravens offense. I'm talking about drops galore. And I mean, it was enough to go around. Zay, Mark, Bate, everybody, likely everyone. Maybe he get more targets if he dropped it less, says Void. Maybe he get more targets if Lamar Jackson could actually consistently get to him when he's reading, when he's going through his progressions. Maybe he'd get more targets if that offensive line could block worth a damn. Maybe he'd get more targets if the offensive coordinator and the head coach were more intentional about scheming him into the game. TC says, no shade against Bate. What do you say? No shade against Bate. If he doesn't get on the same page with Lamar during camp, the bounce back ain't happening. And I can see this too. But I have every reason to believe that when training camp rolls around like 2 weeks from today, I could very well, and I believe this, very well be sitting here reading reports from Jeff Zrebiec that say, oh, Rashad Bateman had a great day in camp today. Had a nice, an amazing catch for a touchdown in 11-on-11s. Really separating himself as the solid wide receiver 2 on this team. Then it's off to the races. Then you guys are on my side, right? Then you guys are on my side, right? Then you guys going to move the goalposts. Say, oh, no, son, we got to wait till the season. You know, I thought Rashad sucked. I thought he wasn't worth a damn. And then wait till, first couple weeks of the season, maybe Rashad Bateman doing his thing, got 2-3 touchdowns. Oh, it's early in the season, Sutton. I can already tell this is going to be an all-season affair with you guys. I've already prepared for that. I've already prepared for it. So, no need. You guys can spare me. I'm already prepared for it. Hell, that's why I got my book. Okay. All right. So, last thing I wanted to cover from this whole Steve Smith thing. By the way, guys, be sure like the video, regardless of how you feel about Bateman. I'd appreciate that. All right. So, losing Tyler Linderbaum, obviously, pretty big blow to the Ravens offensive line this offseason. Here is what Steve Smith had to say about that.
And there is one little nugget that I did want to mention. I think Tyler Linderbaum not being there anymore does play maybe a bigger factor, even in the passing game, than people understand. He's smart, and the protections he calls out. Not saying Lamar can't do it. I think Lamar can totally do it. There's just going to be more on Lamar's plate with a new system too, with calling out everything himself. And I just think that's just a little bit different for this offense as a whole to lose a player like that.
And I agree with you, and I think that's why being at the OTAs was such a pivotal point and why they were emphasizing it so much, because you lose your center who has all that responsibility, and you want to see and you expect, can your quarterback pick up the slack in that? Not every organization allows or makes the quarterback adjust and identify the Mike linebacker. Not everybody does it, but some teams they do. Mm-hmm. And it seems like that Lamar Jackson's new responsibility will be that. Not saying that he has done it. That's not the case. He's done it before because he's a quarterback. Mm-hmm. It's, has he done it consistently week in and week out every play? I haven't been there to know, but I know it wasn't put on him every single play. There were times where, especially young, when you're a young quarterback, any young position, they don't give you full carte blanche and full responsibility to take it on. It's morsels. Yep. Then it's, then we start giving you halfsies. Then we give you wholesies. And all of a sudden, we give you the whole shebang.
All right. So Steve Smith basically talking about there how the Ravens lost Tyler Linderbaum. So who's kind of going to be the signal caller, calling out the mic and things like that, the protections? Because typically the center will be the one. He's kneeling down, he's pointing around, right? He's commanding the offensive line. But when you lose a Tyler Linderbaum, who, not for nothing, very smart center, he may not have been the most physically imposing, doing whatever you ask him to do, but he was very smart center. Always had his wits about him. I don't know if Danny Pinter has that same sort of perspicacity. I don't know if Javon Gwynn has that either. I just don't. And so, and Corey Bullock, of course, he's kind of down there now. Like, nobody really expects him to start. So will we see Lamar Jackson take more command over this offense? I think yes. And I think the proof kind of goes into, and here's where I put on my Syke Sutton hat. You guys remember that Ravens Wired episode from a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago to this point, where they were in minicamp and Lamar Jackson was getting in the huddle and Declan Doyle was right there showing them, like literally showing them step by step how to construct the huddle after every single play. You guys remember Declan Doyle was like, okay, you guys huddle up in like a U like this. You stand here, you stand here. Lamar, you're over there. Lamar, I need you to come into this huddle and everybody kind of, you know what I mean? He was basically teaching Lamar. And as we know, Declan Doyle, great teacher, teaching Lamar that, hey, look, this is your offense. You command it. This offense does not, you don't go as they go. They go as you go. You have your hand on the joystick of this offense. That's why I think you're going to see Lamar Jackson play a lot more under center this season. He's just going to have a lot more command and control. And in year 9, that's what you want to see. They've already said they want to see Lamar Jackson run less. What does that mean? He's got to get his ass under center, read these defenses, dissect them pre-snap, and then go to work. And I truly believe that, again, losing Linderbaum is now the perfect opportunity for him to talk to whatever young center is going to be there, or maybe not young center, but whatever center is going to be there, and say, hey, bro, I got this. I can read where they're blitzing from over here. I can point out the Mike linebacker. All the while, I got my eyes in the secondary. Okay, where are the safeties? Where are they rolling coverage to? Where am I going to be hot at? You know what I'm saying? Man, I can't wait for the season. I cannot wait for the season. I'm telling you. Let's see, chat. The yes, L, I remember that. Yep. We're talking about cheating on husbands in the chat. All right, replay gang. Listen, replay gang, please be sure. Like the video. Let's move on, though. That was pretty much it that I had on the whole Steve Smith thing. I thought it was just very telling that he said things like, what he's hearing from the Ravens is that Elijah Surratt is right behind Bateman. And if he steps up and he starts outproducing Bateman, then Bateman, got to go. So Bateman's got his work cut out for him. Among other guys, too. Tez Walker as well. He ain't safe. Hell, even that wide receiver 1 position is not safe. Not safe. It's not safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe. I'm telling you. All right. But let's move on here. What else do we have here on this episode of the show? All right. So there was this, right? There was they continued the good old NFL top 100 list today. And none other than Ravens linebacker Roquan Smith clocked in at number 65. Happy poop jewels from Mike. Appreciate the happy poop.
That's what makes him great.
Mess with Ro, man. Just the vibe of Ro.
It's our house, man. And what are you gonna do to defend this, man? They in our house, your mom inside, your kids inside.
I think it starts with the passion. He really loves football.
He's such a smart player. He knows what's coming.
Roquan Smith is a beast. He got him from behind.
See, I'm no longer mad. Real quick, I'm no longer upset with Lamar Jackson being named the 69th best player in the league. No longer upset about it. We talked about it yesterday. The real reason, before we get back in the row, the real reason why Lamar Jackson was ranked number 69. It was because, one, these players who vote on this list, they vote for their friends. Two, they vote on this list around Thanksgiving, which, if you remember, on Thanksgiving, Lamar Jackson had a 3-turnover game. Ravens had like 5 total turnovers. They lost by 2 possessions against the Bengals. And that was the lasting impression that players had. Because think about it, Thanksgiving, 95% of the players are at home watching football, like the rest of the world, or the rest of the country, for that matter. So yeah, that was the lasting impression, and that's why they ended up voting Lamar Jackson 69. So 69th it is. And like I said yesterday, I don't give a damn. Maybe it's in the prophecy. I said it yesterday. The square root of 69 is 8-something anyway. Okay? I'll just leave it at that. But Roquan at 65 really does make me question just a little bit what the real point of these lists are. Because again, if we're going to put Roquan Smith above Lamar Jackson, I need some actual, I need some empirical data. I need some real reasons, like show me some highlights, something other than Roquan just plugging the A gap, because he can do that just like any other middle linebacker. But you talk about playmakers. I mean, the most impact he has on the game really is A, stopping the run, and B, motivating the troops before going into battle. Lonely Therapy says, I don't remember Roquan saving the day. You know why you don't remember it? Because it never happened. Never happened. I mean, he had the one scoop and score touchdown where he ran really fast last season off the Tavius Robinson strip sack on Joe Flacco. But outside of that, no plays were really created or made by Roquan Smith. So how does he get ranked above Lamar Jackson, who the last we saw of him, he was putting the team on his back trying to make the playoffs? So again, it just goes to show you got to just grain of salt with these top 100 lists. But let me finish hearing about Roquan, I guess.
Just a sure tackler. Been doing
And I said he can meet you in that A gap now. No problem with that. He can meet you in that A gap.
Off to Swift, turns upfield, and an excellent play by Roquan Smith.
Roquan Smith just comes firing from the middle of the field all the way to make this
All right,
play.
good tackle.
Game well, taken off his feet. Roquan Smith with a touchdown-saving tackle.
I need more forced fumbles. I need more tackles for loss. Hell, I need a pick. I need a pick. Just give me one pick. I want you to drop back into coverage after it seems like you're blitzing. And I need you to catch a pick off of one of these young quarterbacks that we play early in the season. Tyler Shuck, Michael Penix, maybe an Anthony Richardson in week 1. Right? I need you to get a pick, some big plays off of somebody, or else I'm not understanding it. Not understanding it. Let me see. Chris says Rowe was getting outplayed by a rookie before Teddy got injured. I said what I said. Argue with anybody but me, because I'll curse you out. I mean, I'm not. You get no argument from me there. You don't. Because I agree. I think Teddy Buchanan was looking early on like he could surpass Roquan Smith. You know? But of course, Teddy goes down with that injury. You know, if he would have finished that season and finished the season strong, we might be having some uncomfortable conversations right now. We might be having some more uncomfortable conversations. Teddy looks good in his workouts, though. He looks good in his workouts. Let me see here.
He's a sure tackler. You can always count on him to have about 150 tackles every year now.
Roquan Smith, 5-time All-Pro, 8 straight years of 100 tackles.
Pocket collapsing. Flacco hit. He is sacked. Ball comes loose. Picked up. Roquan Smith in midfield. He's to the 40.
Yeah, that was the play. I mean, he was running fast on this play, too. I'm not going to lie.
He can chase down.
He was running real fast. Faster than I've ever seen him run.
Do it with intensity that you want at the middle linebacker position.
Guess who? Roquan Smith.
He played great against us. I gotta know in my head, like, he a great player, so he gonna win some.
Great, at least that's everything you get.
This is the biggest impact he's got right here, ladies and gentlemen. Biggest impact. I mean, outside of the tackles, I mean, again, tackles are cool, but tackles for a linebacker, okay, I'm not going to applaud a fish for swimming. Okay? Tackles on a linebacker, I'm not going to applaud a fish for swimming. I need to see more. I need to see more, especially for that, what, $30 million? $30 million cap hit? Something like that? 15 million, something like that? 10 million, something like that? 5 million, something like that? Anyways, maybe you guys get the joke, maybe you don't. But I definitely need to see Roquan step up some more, for sure. All right. Let's move on here. Let me see. Yeah, Roe over Lamar is nuts. That is crazy. Not gonna lie. Derrick Henry putting in that offseason work. Ooh, look at that. Still looking quick, too. Still looking quick. I mean, he loves these hills, man. Loves them. If you guys have never tried this before, give it a try. Find your nearest hill at your local park, whatever, wherever, and just try running up and down the hill without any weights. It's hard as hell. Hard as hell. Okay. But yeah, Derrick Henry looks great. I expect him to have a big season. Big season. Big season. Would I say 2,000 yards? No. Would I say matching his 1,600 that he got last year? It's going to be tough, chat. It's going to be tough. But I think that he can get 1,600 yards, though. And I think that the reason why he'll get it is because later in games, like third quarter, when the Ravens are up 2 possessions, they're still going to be running Derrick Henry at you. And if that offensive line proves that it can be stout, and especially run blocking, and they're just wearing down and just leaning on the defense, yeah, he's going to get a lot of garbage time yards that, of course, will count towards his total yardage at the end of the season. But I think that it's going to... Ooh. But the unfortunate thing is, if he does do that, the narrative is going to be that, oh, Lamar Jackson has a super team. He doesn't deserve MVP this year. Hell, he doesn't even deserve to be on our top 10 list still because he's got Derrick Henry. Ever since Lamar Jackson welcomed Derrick Henry to his offense, the only thing anybody else has been ever wanted to say in the national media is, oh, he's got Derrick Henry. That's why that offense goes. Not because of Lamar, because of Derrick Henry. And again, we love Derrick Henry, but that's a bunch of bullshit. All right. Let's see. Getting through these topics here. All right. So I think it's time. To talk about the good old World Cup. Good old World Cup continued today, and it is now official. We have our World Cup final, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Argentina taking on Spain. So obviously, yesterday, Spain took out France in a shocker to me. I thought Kylian Mbappe and them boys were about to get the job done. But they bopped Kylian Mbappe and the rest of that France team right upside the head and bopped them out of town. Wait a minute, pause. I just thought about that. Anywho, Kylian Mbappe in France fell to Spain. Yamil, what's the guy's name? I can't even remember his last name. Yamil something. And it got me to thinking, once I saw something online, how this is going to be probably the most storybook ending in this World Cup, because the Yamil kid, which is like a 19-year-old kid who plays on Spain, Lionel Messi's actually known this Yamil kid since he was a baby. They literally have pictures together. This was like 20 years ago. 19, 20 years ago, something like that. And now they're going to be playing each other in the World Cup final. It doesn't get any more cinema than that. Lamine Yamal. Thank you. Lamine Yamal. But that game today, chat. Argentina versus England. England goes up 1-0. And after that, I started getting flashbacks. I started getting PTSD as a Ravens fan. And if you want to know why, maybe you didn't watch the game. It's because England broke down pretty much in the exact same fashion that the Ravens broke down against the Bills in week 1 of the 2025 season. Ravens jumped out to an early lead. Things are looking great. Team is celebrating. And then they just kind of let their foot off the gas. Not kind of, like completely. England went into this weird, and I don't claim to be a big soccer guy. You guys know that. But they went into this weird, almost prevent-like defense where they stopped trying to aggressively pursue the win, and they started trying to just not lose the game. And the moment you do that against the highest level of competition, they will come back and beat you. You got to shoot them twice to make sure that they're dead. And that's not what England did. Spain did that to France yesterday. Spain understood the assignment. They went up and they just kept going up. They ended the game 2-0, I understand. But they still kept the pedal to the metal. England did not do that. They did not try to maintain possessions, maintain drives, anything like that. They were just, please just do not let Messi score. And then in like the 80th minute, 83rd minute, something like that, Argentina scores his first goal. And then 9 minutes after that, in stoppage time, they score their second goal to go up 2-1. And England was shocked. The English, they were shocked. You could see it in the stadium. Hell, I even watched the Fox post-game, whatever. They were interviewing people in England. Oh, those people were sad, dejected. And I felt them. I felt that sadness. Because why, as one of the best countries, one of the best teams in the world, are you not playing to win the game? Void says it here. You got to double tap. You got to stand over them and double tap them. And English didn't do that. And now Messi and Argentina are going to their second straight World Cup. Now, the goals that were scored, Messi did not score a goal, but he assisted on 2 beautiful goals down the stretch of the game. Again, one that happened in, I believe, the 83rd minute, and one that happened, I believe, in the 92nd minute or something like that. Happened in a span of like 9 minutes. But that second one thing about Messi is that like he's got some of the most beautiful and consistent crosses in the world. Like when that ball comes off of his right foot and it gets to curving, like it's the sharpest curve. And it's like it's a magnet. Whatever player that he wants the ball to go towards, it's like they have a magnet in their cleat when Messi passes it to him, because it goes right to him. Hell, Dembele was doing that yesterday for France. It never really panned out. I guess they don't want to win for Mbappe as much as Argentina wants to win for Messi. You know, but each and every time, it's danger. When Lionel Messi gets a cross kick in, it's danger. And I can't wait until, what is it, Saturday? I believe Saturday is the final. Going to be amazing. Going to be absolutely insane. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And yeah, the World Cup's been fun. World Cup has been very fun. All right, let's get into my last topic here of the episode. I want to talk about this Caitlin Clark stuff. I really want to talk about this Caitlin Clark stuff. So Caitlin Clark has been in the news a lot lately for, some of the officiating in her games and whether or not the WNBA is officiating her games fairly. Apparently some of the girls are being extra rough with her and they're not giving her the calls, or they're not fining these girls who are doing this to her. They're not suspending them. And there was one that happened a couple of weeks ago, I believe, where she gets tied up around the neck or something and maybe a girl brings her down. I don't quite remember, but that was the story from what I do remember. And apparently the WNBA's commissioner decided not to do anything or suspend that girl who did that to Caitlin Clark, which got a lot of people up in arms. Weirdly, I might add. Weirdly up in arms. And I'm going to play a clip where two gentlemen on national media are up in arms about this whole Caitlin Clark situation. Now, right before I went live here, I saw that I guess the Indiana Fever had a game tonight. Caitlin Clark, she got called for a foul, I suppose, and she is not happy about it. As you can see, she is, and I don't want to play the full clip, she's getting in the referee's face. She's not happy about it. The referee's trying to explain to her. Caitlin Clark is just kind of like telling her off, like, well, get your ish together. She's turning back around, getting in her face, yelling, and she doesn't get ejected. There goes Sophie Cunningham right there. She just got a new shoe, which, what might I add, kind of nice. Kind of nice. That new Sophie Cunningham Adidas shoe, kind of dope. But yeah, this was Caitlin Clark as of tonight. Very passionate player, as we know Caitlin Clark is. She's not afraid to get fired up, as any athlete, any professional athlete, any athlete who cares about the game. They're going to get passionate, like you see Caitlin Clark get passionate here. Now, a lot of people, again, the fan base of the WNBA seems to be split on Caitlin. Half of the fan base is like, oh, we love Caitlin Clark. You guys need to push her more. Officials need to protect her, put her at the top of all the posters and everything, promo everything. And then the other half is like, no, Caitlin Clark, she needs to be on the same level, right? Viewed on the same level as every other player in the W. And so where I stand on this is, as somebody who doesn't typically watch the WNBA on a night in, night out basis, is Caitlin Clark actually balling enough to warrant people going to bat for her the way that they do? Let me let you take a listen to this. National media, again, Colin Cowherd and friends talking about Caitlin Clark.
A lot of players are ticked off that Clark is like the show pony for the league. But guys, that's just how it is. That's the reality.
Well, there was a little pushback when Tiger Woods entered the PGA and got a lot of love. But very quickly, older golfers realized and spread the news, the purses are all going up. The television ratings, the television revenues going up. So golfers benefited, even though they were ticked or annoyed a little bit that anybody that asked about the PGA, it was about Tiger. And some of the older golfers thought it was kind of annoying and disrespectful.
Okay.
But it raised all the boats. Tiger raised the entire sport. He raised the purses, the corporate sponsorships, the television ratings, merchandise costs. So Tiger raised everything, and golfers quickly figured it out. Caitlin Clark has done the exact same thing, and WNBA players can't figure it out.
No.
It's like
No. And see, everybody likes, it's so weird. I don't know why we're doing this. But like, people who stand on the side of, oh, we need to protect and cherish Caitlin Clark, they always use the comparison, or just the fact that now WNBA players are flying private and they're, making more money and they're getting more brand deals and sponsorships because her rising tide rose all the boats. which may be true. Which may be true to a degree. Okay, to a degree. I don't think Caitlin Clark coming into the league automatically made it so the average WNBA player is making a more than livable wage just off of their WNBA salary. That's not happening. Are some teams probably flying private? Sure. Are some teams probably still flying commercial? More than likely. Probably. But my point is this. Colin brings up or compares her to Tiger Woods. Oh, when Tiger Woods first hit the PGA scene, he was so good. And all the other golfers, they kind of felt the way about him because, he got all the attention. He was making a boatload of money and things like that. Well, you know why that is? It's because Tiger Woods was kicking ass in golf. That's why. Caitlin Clark is not kicking ass in the WNBA. The whole reason, because I was one of them, back, let's say I think it was 2-3 years ago. The whole reason why I bought real estate in the Caitlin Clark property or the Caitlin Clark farm, whatever you want to call it, is because it was constantly raining threes. That's the only reason I bought real estate on the Caitlin Clark farm, is because it used to be raining threes consistently. No longer is that happening. No longer am I waking up, opening up my Instagram and seeing House of Highlights posts, oh, Caitlin Clark just went nuclear. She just dropped 40. She just dropped 36. She just hit 8 threes. We're not seeing that anymore. So remind me why we need to be treating Caitlin Clark like she's just some huge star. Like, okay, is she balling? Is she must-see TV? I remember when she was must-see TV. That peaked in the Iowa days, her senior year, and then also her first year with the Fever. That's when that peaked. But once we found out that she wasn't actually the female Steph Curry, that's when, for me, I hopped off the train. Because again, the only reason why I bought real estate in the first place is because those threes was raining. But if we take a look at Caitlin Clark's stats, let's just take a look at the three-pointers in the past couple of games. Tonight, she went 1 for 8 from 3. Her last game, she went 1 for 5 from 3. Game before that, 1 for 6. Game before that, 3 for 4. Game before that, 3 for 10. Game before that, 3 for 7. Game before that, 2 for 5. On the regular season, she's shooting 33% from 3. She's shooting 33% from 3 as a guard who is known for shooting threes. That's not must-see TV. That's not face of the league. Oh my gosh, you have to protect her. She's the biggest star ever. No. I'm not letting them get that off. If the production doesn't match the star power fades. That's how it works. So yeah, we should be looking at Caitlin Clark and judging her just like every other girl in the W, because she has not separated herself with her play enough to warrant giving her that type of benefit of the doubt. She just hasn't. I'm sorry. She just hasn't. And no, threes aren't the only part of the game. I know that she has actually much improved her passing game. Her assist numbers are pretty good this season. But again, I remind you guys, the only reason I bought stock in Caitlin Clark is because of the three-pointers, not because of how well she could pass. I wasn't looking to see the next Chris Paul of the WNBA. I was looking for the next Steph Curry. That's what I was looking for. That is what put butts in seats. That is what brought them from flying commercial to flying private. If she can't continue that in the WNBA, if she never gets to that point where it reminds you of the Iowa days where she was just raining threes and it was super entertaining to watch, what's the point? Okay, like, why are we here? I'd probably rather watch Olivia Miles at this point, the Minnesota. Shout out to her. But yeah. Stretch 52, he brings up Olivia Miles here. Olivia Miles is dominating first rookie to reach 400 points, 100 rebounds, and 100 assists in history. See? That's something that I feel like I need to tap into. I have no reason to tap into Caitlin Clark right now. No reason. No reason at all. So I don't know, y'all. That's where I'm at with it. Let me know down below in the comment section how you feel about it. Let me know down below in the comment section how you feel about anything that I said here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. As we get ready to wrap the show, again, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, Rain Gang members, for coming through, supporting the channel. Please be sure to like this video. Sub if you are new and you enjoyed what you consumed tonight. We appreciate you guys so much. Stretch says, wait till Juju Watkins comes. Yeah, she's going to be nice too. Maybe her and Jaden Daniels get married or whatever. But anyways, guys, again, like the video. We'll see you guys on the Thursday main pod. Me and Alex are back tomorrow, Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you turn on notifications for that. But until next time, stay positive, test negative, never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. And as always, may purple rain. Peace.